Craig Handley. What's up, my man?
How you doing?
Good. Welcome. Welcome to the show. This is cool. Over here. You look good. Where are you right now? Where are you pandemicking?
Right now I'm in Maine. I have a place in Maine and a place in Mexico, and I kind of go back and forth. But lately I've been just kind of enjoying the great state of Maine because there's nobody really here. The pandemic here is here, but they haven't really had that many people testing positive. So it seems like it's a good safe haven.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we met kind of, well, a few weeks ago now, but we chatted last week, and you just blew me away with all your crazy content type stuff that you've been up to. And I don't even know where to start. Why don't you start by giving the audience just a rundown of who you are and what you show up, how you show up in the world?
Sure. I tell people I'm a musician first, right? And then I've got it kind of wrapped up in all this marketing stuff. Always wanted to be a musician, but I ended up going to a music school where they teach you how to be a school teacher. And while I was in school, somebody said I had the gift of gab, so I started doing sales. And I was really good at sales and marketing. And over the years, I built a call center. We have almost 1,000 employees, and the call center does about 150,000. Sorry, my brain just blanked out. We do about 150,000 in sales every month, and we do tens of thousands of phone calls on customer service, tens of thousands of calls in lead gen, and I've been building that business for about 14 years. And in my business, I built a program called Dream Trust. And what Dream Trust is I spend 3 days teaching my employees to quit. I literally go through, I teach them 6 pillars of happiness. We have them build out a dream board. And we talk about what they really want to do with their life, because most people didn't want to be a call center agent. And when we kind of figure out what it is, we've given them all the tools so they can actually learn how to quit. If they need to build a website or they need to do their own podcast. And I've had over 100 people, quit and go out and build restaurants, get their dream job with the government, which was one girl's dream, build a boxing club for kids. Another kid was a lawyer, and he did podcasts with all the other lawyers in town, found the hole in the legal system, hung out a shingle, and made that his specialty. And everybody on his podcast referred him all their business. And I've had all these great stories. My COO, my operations director, quit, and he bought a golf course because that was his dream. Always wanted to buy a golf course. And I was like, why am I running operations in a call center when I've always wanted, where my light shines brighter when I'm doing marketing, when I'm writing music, where are my passions in all this? And so I put my call center up for sale. And I decided to write a book. So I wrote a book called Hired to Quit, and it made I got it behind me there. And it made the New York Times, it made the Amazon bestseller list. I didn't try for New York Times. It made 5 bestseller lists, and I did all the content marketing myself. And as somebody who wanted to be an author, an influencer, a musician, a coach, I wanted to help others with their business as far as marketing goes. I knew I needed to be an influencer. And so I started looking for places online that would help me. I write for Forbes. Every month I have an article come out, either Forbes, Success, CNBC, MSNBC, Huffington Post, all these different places I write for. And I was trying to just get all this content to a place where it was making me more of a influencer. And I was doing it all myself. And so I tried to find someone who would take my speeches and my podcasts and then help me repurpose that content to make me look smarter than I am. And I found a company who offered to go through all of my old content. Month 1, it was $15,000. And then they wanted $7,500 a month to go through it. And then there was another person that would book me on podcasts for $5,000 a month. And then there was the company that would manage my content for $5,000 a month. And then there was the company that would do my LinkedIn, and they would do my LinkedIn and create leads through LinkedIn for $5,000 a month. And by the time I was done with my research, I couldn't find a company that did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly couldn't find a company that could do it for less than like $30,000 a month. And so I'm in Mexico, and so I literally hired 3 people. I hired a full-time designer and a person to kind of go through all my content, and I hired like an assistant. And the reason for the assistant was I do music, so I do lyric videos, I do reach outs through music, I do comedy. I've got my own little comedy routine. I do my business stuff, and so I've got all these. I've got kind of like a who was the famous person with multiple personalities, Sybil, I think they called her. I've got my own little Sybil going on in my brain where I've got all these personas. I mean, you could Google me and find a video where I was hosting the AVN Awards in Vegas. And then right next to it, the next article down is MSNBC, why this employer trains his employees to quit. And it's got over 50 million views, this article. So I got, kind of two extremes. And so I had 3 people, one person kind of managing my pages, one person that I just shovel everything to, and then a full-time kind of designer editor. And for about a year, they just did my stuff. And I saw a friend of mine post on Facebook saying, does anybody do this? And I saw like 20 people say, following. And so I was like, maybe I built a business that I don't even know that I built a business. And since then, of course, I found some other companies that do pieces of it. And so I've ended up partnering with a lot of companies that do pieces of it because I kind of built an a la carte solution where I can do a lot of different pieces. And I think the thing that separated, in the last 2 months, we've added 37 clients and almost 600,000 in revenue. And the thing that I think separates us is that through my marketing experiences, I used to write phone scripts and they're bridge scripting. And one of the things I've been really good at is creating video templates and doing direct messaging as if it comes from the owner himself. And the video templates I push out to drive engagement back to the content. And I think that's one of the big difference makers. So I called my business Social Close. And the whole idea is that in 2 days, we sold over 3,000 books for Benjamin Hardy with his Personalities and Permanent book. With Anna David and her Make Your Memoirs a Mess, we sold thousands and thousands of books in 3 weeks. And she also got invited to a bunch of podcasts, articles written about her book. She made the New York Times bestseller list. We have a friend who released a documentary, a movie. And we went into his LinkedIn and invited people to watch the documentary with him for a $20 donation. And we got 500 people before he told me to stop. Right? It was, yeah. He's like, I'm going to do a Zoom call after, and I can't have more than 500 people. He goes, this has been more of a thing. People are still shocked that the direct messaging component drives that much engagement. And by the way, with all my experience, I'm shocked, right? I'm like, what is going on? So I've been doing all these kind of crazy marketing things. And in the process, as a musician, I started writing musical content, 30-second, 60-second jingles, and creating engagement through that. So I'm tying my music into my marketing. And I'm really feel like I'm in flow because for the last couple of months, I've truly been living my passion, which is marketing. And I've been writing a heck of a lot of music.
That's incredible, man.
That was
long, but it was worth it. I was here on the edge of my seat the whole time. That's so cool. And when I was talking to you about this stuff before, you mentioned the jingles and the music, and you mentioned the LinkedIn outreach, and those are 2 things that really stuck out to me, and I want to talk to you about those. Is there, if we consider those kind of 2 buckets, what from what I understand, those are 2 of your really top things that you do to get attention in the world. Is there any other bucket that is kind of up there with those 2?
What's funny is I went out after I put the call center up for sale. It hasn't sold yet, but I've got a full operations team, so I don't really do anything. But after I started going out and doing coaching and consulting, people would pay me $10,000 to do marketing consulting. But most people don't have a marketing team. Mm-hmm. And they don't even understand sometimes the lingo. Finding an avatar and programmatic media and Facebook media and what is programmatic media and what is computer learning and AI in regards to marketing and how does that work? And when I was talking to people, I'm like, people just don't get it. And for me, having a solid social media presence is step one in any marketing. If you're going to run an affiliate campaign, if you're going to run a programmatic media campaign, if you're going to run a Facebook campaign, people are going to look at your content, and you got to have content. So for me, when I consult with people, I say, let's get a month's worth of content, right? Let's go through your videos. Let's create a month's worth of solid content and not even try to sell for a month. I get that you need revenue, but let's just make sure that you're aligned and make sure your messaging is consistent. And I have one guy who had he sells vitamins, but what he actually does is he sells a blood test, and his theme is, why are you paying for vitamins you don't need to take? And so every 2 months, as part of his package, you get a blood test, and then you submit the results, and they revamp the vitamins you should get. And he was trying to sell his magnesium. And I'm like, dude, why are you competing in the magnesium space? You should be selling your blood kit, right? And so we literally changed his affiliate program from selling magnesium to pushing the blood kit. And I even got him to a point where you pay for the blood kit up front, but it's a rebate against the vitamins you're getting. So you actually get a free blood kit, but you just pay for it up front because the idea is he wants you to buy your vitamins from him. And so we kind of put it all together, and all of a sudden his sales doubled and tripled. And it came from changing his social media presence from, we sell magnesium and other vitamins, to we give you a blood test every 2 months to reevaluate the vitamins you should be taking to make sure you optimize your health on a month-to-month basis. And so once we created better messaging through social media, we went back out to the affiliates. And so when I say there's a silver bullet, it's really marketing experience and being able to be a marketing consultant with people, and then directing the team through social media to create content that's relevant to the messaging that's going to sell. That makes sense?
Yeah, totally. So it's a strategy, and it's made up of a couple of things.
When I if I interview an author, I can turn the interview into a little jingle. And a jingle, when I send out, so my messaging on LinkedIn, for example, we've proven that a message through LinkedIn is not enough. It doesn't create great engagement. A video is too much on an initial engagement. But if you do a picture of yourself, I use a picture collage of me doing crazy things, that creates just the right amount of engagement for people to be like, wow, cool idea, right? So my engagement's huge. The second time I speak to them, it's always a video. And I've created video templates. And so when we work with our clients, when we're creating this engagement, we create video templates. So one of them might be, hey, I really need your help. I'm not too proud to ask for help because my book comes out in 24 hours. And I need I've sold, thousands and thousands of books, but I think I need between 2,000 and 3,000 more to make the New York Times bestseller list. This is why this book can help you. And if you like the message and you think it can help someone else, please share this message on your Facebook wall or through your other social media platforms for me as a favor, because I'd really appreciate it. But please buy my book. So that was one message we created for an author. But another one was a little jingle I wrote. I wrote a book. It's 99 cents. Just take a look. And we wrote this cute little 30-second jingle. And when we push that content out behind a video asking for help, that creates a different type of engagement, And so if I have time with an author, for example, if I have 12 weeks, week number 1, it'll be a jingle. Week number 2, it'll be an ask. Week number 3, it might be a cartoon. But it's just creating this super engagement. So by the time you get to the book launch, there's 10 or 12 videos that somebody can go in and kind of see, interviews, cartoons, music, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it makes you want to engage and buy, right? And so all I'm trying to do is I'm building a philosophy based on W. Clement Stone's famous quote, little hinges swing big doors. And every little thing we do creates a hinge that swings the big door.
That's awesome. There's so many, ways that you can do that. And it sounds like you keep experimenting using music, but not always the same type of thing, right? Like you've created all types of jingles for all types of different people.
Yeah, I've actually got a song with the Chainsmokers right now. So I even write, rap. I write EDM music. I write, duets. I've got an amazing song that I'm working on right now that could be a Disney movie song. all kinds of
Epic.
fun stuff.
Epic. So not just I think it's cool that you can take that skill, you know, and use it in marketing for people. You showed me a video of uh who was it?
Dave Asprey.
Somebody. Oh, Dave Asprey, yeah, bulletproof coffee and things. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was totally. Can you tell me how that worked? Because I don't really understand the. I mean, anyone listening to this isn't going to be able to put together what you what you put together. It was like
Well,
long, and was it a proper interview that you just did, like a regular talking interview, and somehow you musicalized it?
yes.
But
What
it
happened with Dave?
rhymed.
I'm good friends with Dave, and I read both his books. Not all of them. I glanced through them, and I'm a pretty fast reader. So I basically got him on a phone call and asked him what the books were about. You know, he has a book called Bulletproof and a book called Headstrong, and I talked about the Bulletproof program and really got a good understanding for it. Then I talked about Headstrong, and then we wrote this fun musical video, and I basically wrote the interview into a song. So it was, so Dave, what's your story? What makes you so rad? Bulletproof seems like a quick fix fad. I want to be healthy. I want to be lean. I want to be a lean, mean fight machine. Right. And it was just this interview process. And then Dave replies, you know, well, I'm bulletproof, not the man of steel, just an average guy who's keeping it real, you know? And so I just kind of put everything together with what the book was about. And it's, you know, and what a bulletproof diet is. So we talk about sugar, you know, and how that works. And we talk about brain and how you need to keep your brain healthy. If you're going to, and Dave always talks about how he wants to be 200 years old. And so, you know, I put that in the song, and I even made a joke out of it. I said, does your body still work? And we zoomed in on his groin area, and then we kind of phased it out, you know, so people, does your body still work? So, you know, of course, nobody wants to live till 200 if they can't still be having sex, right? I mean, I think, what's the point?
So
So
those types of those types of videos that you make with, you know, you've made them with him. He obviously had to play along and I like learn the part or read it or something, right?
Yeah, I had him basically go live. I mean, we got him in the studio, and he sang it with his cell phone, and he's not very good at rapping or singing. So, but we had him do it in the studio, and then when he sat down, we just went line by line because all you're doing when you're making the video is he's mouthing, he's saying the words, and then because we already have the audio behind it. So yeah, it was fun, and I did a cartoon with Dave too, where I didn't even use him except for he's the cartoon character, you know, and we've done a few for him, and that's a lot of, you know, if I'm interviewing and I've got a lot of people that want to join this whole, it's kind of like Goalcast, right? I mean, I have this vision of creating hundreds and hundreds of interviews that become songs, so you can learn what people are about. And I think sometimes the person we're interviewing may want to be in the song, and sometimes they just want to hear it. So
I think it's so interesting that you know, you can create, you're really using your skill, like I said, to create these videos with people and this music, or it's like a combination of music and business. Like, you know, there's a special type of marketing, and it really, to me, it seems like that's you know, this is kind of your trademark or business card type marketing. And I know you have many kinds, but this is one. I've done this similarly for myself in business, where I've written a little jingle on a guitar and made a song, just acoustic on the guitar. And that has been part of my trademark in the past. And I think people, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Why is that so interesting for people? Why does that get more attention?
it's like anything. If you look at like the Harmon brothers with the videos they've created with the unicorn pooping out the ice cream, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
they, you know, they've just got crazy, the poopery ad, you know, where the woman sitting on the toilet. And I think that's something, there's so much content out there today, and there's so many people doing damn interviews, right? How many TED Talks can you watch, right? I mean, there's topics that interest you, but there's so much of it, and it's just not unique.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stuff that gets the most views is the unique stuff. The guy with the hair, who's the DJ, and I should know his name. Something Love, I think his name is, but he's got the hair clip in his hair, and he did a TED Talk, and all he did was make noises with his mouth and play a drum machine. You know, he's like, you know, like you watch 10 minutes of that, and you're just fascinated, you know, because it's different. And I think that's why is everybody's, you know, there's a lot of people that have books, and there's a lot of people that are preaching about this and that, but how do you stand out from the crowd, right? How do you deliver a message that's not the same as what everybody else is saying?
Yeah,
maybe I should write one for Trump or Biden, right? A little jingle.
100%. That would go viral.
Help them get their policies across.
That shit would go so viral so fast. It would, and you're right. You know, it's all about creating something that gets people's attention. And it's impossible to do it if you're the same as everybody else. And you're right. People are writing books. People are doing the same stuff as everyone else.
There's a way to use it to create revenue. Like with the video we did for Dave, he got hundreds of thousands of views because Dave's a celebrity. I mean, when he goes online, there's 1,000 people. When he does Instagram Live, 1,000 people are following his Instagram Live. I mean, so the content with Dave, it was his team didn't do this, but we are going to do it. He put the video at hundreds of thousands of views. Well, my direct messaging team could have gone in with everybody that does a thumbs up or a comment. We could have offered a one-on-one message that said, hey, thanks for liking the video. Save 10% on your next purchase at bulletproof.com using this code. And we could have sold $3 or $4 million worth of product if his team would have been on the stick. But that's what I mean by marketing. And I'm like, most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. My brain just goes so fast. I say that humbly, right? I mean, I
hear you.
Get into flow. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but I'm like, okay, we got to do this. So I just signed up a restaurant, and they lost $50,000 a month easy during COVID. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get your $50,000 back. So they weren't doing anything on social. So I did a couple of things. We did a contest, $100 restaurant coupon when people submit their video for their best experience at Richetta's. You know, and so now we're getting the videos in, and we're going to turn the videos into a 30-second and a 1-minute videos. The 30-second we're going to use for programmatic media, and we're going to geofence the restaurant location. Everybody within a 15-mile radius will now see a video, 30 seconds of people raving about their favorite meals, right? And then I just started working with my team, and we're going to contact all the schools, and we're going to do a pizza party for the school with the best video promoting this restaurant. And they've been voted 20 years in a row as the best pizza, right? And in the local paper. And so I'm like, how many young people are buying your pizza instead of buying Domino's, you know? And they're like, our audience is older. I'm like, well, this is stupid. Let's go into the high schools and let's get the kids to create their own, you know, the audiovisual team in the high school. They're going to go record at parties, people eating your pizza. They're going to record. And the team that submits the best video is going to win a pizza party for their school. And we'll do brackets. We'll do this school versus this school versus this school. You know, we'll do brackets and bring people down to the finals. And we'll create content, and all it's going to cost us is a pizza party. That content's going to be so viral and so enticing, and it's going to bring in a younger crowd, you know, to help create more sales than the older audience. They have a musician. We did a search for anybody who's a fan of the musician within 15 miles, and my direct messaging team created a video with the artist and the restaurant, and we pushed the video out through all of our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and pushed this video out and told people that, hey, your favorite artist is performing, make a reservation. That one worked so well we had to stop, right? Because we sold it out. It was like sold out. And we're like, oh, well, sorry. I mean, what do you do, right? We created great content, but I wanted to use it much more than we did because it worked so well, right? You're like, oh.
Well, you're right. It's about leveraging it, right? So there's so many things to talk about here, but I think you're right about leveraging whatever piece of content you're doing. Doesn't really matter what it is. Getting, you know, either messaging everyone who likes it. I mean, how often are people posting a video and then going, oh, no one's messaged me to work with me? Well, there's people who have liked it. There's people who have watched it. You can retarget. You know, there's ways to chop it up. Like you said, we're talking about content repurposing, which is what I do. That's my whole, at least, well,
But
it's most of what I do.
You guys do a great job, and I love the way you write, and I love the way your brain works. So you guys do a great job.
Yeah, thanks. And I think how you're talking about leveraging that content, not just repurposing it, which you absolutely can do, but getting really creative and thinking more about how can I do this differently to everyone else? I mean, even content repurposing, while it's a genius thing to do, and you've got to turn a video into 30 or 40 pieces of content, what else can you do with it in order to, that's going to be different? And I think that's where your brain is really, really, just fantastic. Can you
I'm fantastically warped.
yeah, no, I love it, but that's what you've got to be in order to do things differently, right? Think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Why don't we spend a little bit of time? We've got a bit of time left. Let's spend 5 minutes brainstorming what weird stuff could you do if you were, like, a lot of my audience is coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, thought leader type people who want to do TED Talks, who have done TED Talks. Like, what types of weird stuff could they do to get their message out there and make it different? Like, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I enjoy a bit of a brainstorm.
No, it's good. No, I love doing brainstorming, and I usually the hot seats are, I'm like a rapper, when you kind of throw this stuff at me. Mm-hmm. So authors is easy because I was an author, and for me, the authors it depends on their audience. So, for example, one of the things we do through DM is if you're an author or coach, my DM team will reach out to other influencers and we'll ask them to do Instagram lives, 30-minute Instagram lives with the person that we're trying to work with. So their fans become our fans and our fans become their fans. And that usually works out. And then there's actually the opportunity to pay. So if someone's got a giant audience, there's a difference. You could just pay a little bit of money. It's like media. There's influencers, that have your audience, and it doesn't. So there's a couple ways to reach them. Programmatic media is one way, and I had an author spend $350 a week for 2 weeks, and we got 54,000 impressions, and over almost 20,000 people watched the entirety of the video, and clicked. So 54,000 impressions, almost 20,000 clicks, right, to look at the book for $700. Well, it's the same thing if you're doing an Instagram live with someone with 5 million fans, but they happen to be someone in your field. A lot of times, if you give them $100, or, a lot of them will do it for like a coffee. Hey, I'd love to buy you Starbucks if you do a 30-minute Instagram live with me. People are genuinely kind. And if you ask enough people, right, that's the secret. We ask 100 people a day to do that type of stuff with our authors and our influencers and our coaches. Right? We ask 100 brand new people a day on each platform. So that's on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. If they would do something with us, that would help us expand our audience. And so that would work for your coaches, for your influencers, for your authors. That work for all of them. I've written a music video to introduce myself. I call it Craig Handley, which is kind of funny. And it basically defines my style and my technique. And so any type of influencer or coach, if you interview them, I've got Grammy award-winning writers. So the guy who wrote Halo for Beyonce, and the guy who's written for John Legend, and Justin Bieber. I combine those two names. If John Legend and Justin Bieber had a baby, would it be Justin Bieber? I mean, Justin Legend? I don't know. I'm working with Marty James wrote, Despacito, was a writer on Despacito. He's somebody who will be happy, to write with me and do an interview with someone and create something that's musical and different that could be a great intro video, right? So if you drive people to your content, how do you get them to watch that video that you're trying to show who you are? Well, for me, I had over 5,000 books sold with my Craig Handley video, and it was almost 3 minutes. It was, and the lyric just, I'm a go-getter. I don't care what you say, not ever slowing down, gonna get my way. I got my blinders on, and I'm focused on my goals. Watch me maneuver. This is how I roll. Put a beat behind it, and I did the rap, and, with my ADD, my brain speeds along. I had so many plans, just this whole little rap. And then the hook in it is Craig Handley, Craig Handley. I use memes to make fun of me. Like there's a little meme where the guy goes, oh my God, he's so hot. Craig Handley, Craig Handley. Then these two guys are like, damn. And it was funny, catchy, and people like, oh my God. And then at the end, I zoomed in on my book and I linked it to my Amazon store, and that sold books like crazy.
So with that video, how did you get views on it? Like, where did you promote it on Facebook or?
I didn't spend any media dollars, which I wish I would have, but all I did was the same thing I'm talking to you now. I shared the video.
Yeah.
With almost 2,500 people a day. I did it myself at the time.
Ah.
That's how I learned a lot of these things.
So one by one, you wrote that message that's like, "Hey, look, this video is ridiculous. Give it a watch and let me know what you think," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you messaged out people. So you just maxed out whatever the maximum message capacity is on each platform.
Like, with all 3 platforms, I was able to get out around 2,500 messages a day, and then I posted in a bunch of rooms. Right? There's a lot of groups, Facebook groups, where they say no marketing, but I got around it by doing a funny song. It's like, if this is marketing, take it down. But I thought it was funny, and everybody like, oh, it's so cool. I got around some of the rules and groups.
Dude, you know what? This is hilarious. As soon as we were talking about music stuff, I was laughing because I told you I did stand-up comedy for a couple of years in New Zealand, and I've written songs for my various things, but they're kind of parody type songs just on the guitar. And I wrote an affirmation rap because you say your affirmations to yourself every day, and I wrote a rap for it. But I've been way too chicken to do anything with it. I literally sing it to myself to give myself affirmations.
I want to see it. I want you to play it and sing it and post it.
But I think that's the thing is like, people feel they may have these little things or whatever, or maybe they thought about it, but they're too scared to post something that makes them look so ridiculous. I mean, that's maybe, there's an affirmation rap or there's a rap about me or whatever, but scary.
The first time I did stand-up, it was at Caroline's on Broadway in New York City, and I did a 30-minute set, and I had written 5 original songs. And so I talk about my adventures. One of my best bits was when I went great white shark diving. And I talk about how most people would notice the big teeth, the gigantic size of the great white sharks, the beady eyes, the rough skin. Not me. First thing I noticed was that the male sharks have 2 penises. And in that moment, I thought to myself, how do they find their way around? I mean, women say that men are led by their penises. If I had 2, I'd never find my way home. I think if I had 2 penises, I definitely have an STD because right now I have 1 penis and I care about it. But if I had a spare, I'd be like, fuck it, I got a spare. And maybe my girlfriend would always want the special one. And I'd be like, get off. That's for birthdays and Christmas. Stay away. Let's use the regular one. I mean, they just think of all the possibilities. Anyway, that bit was pretty funny. But then I talked about dating. And I wrote a song called She's a MILF and She's Mine, how I started to date women my own age, and they all have kids, right? So I wrote, she's a MILF and she's mine, 2 kids, 6 and 9. She's a MILF and she's mine. My baby, she's so fine. She's a MILF and she's mine. She's hopping, jaw dropping, I popping. She'll get your heart stopping. So I wrote that. And then I wrote a song called, I said, well, maybe I could date younger women. So I wrote a song that goes, you say you got a job, I hear it don't pay so well. I got a secret you can keep, nobody you got to tell. So many things to love about an older guy. Or maybe you think you should struggle to get by. I know there's things that you want in your life.
Oh my God.
I know you probably don't want to be my wife. So why you living with all this strife when I can be your sugar daddy, your sugar daddy. Every girl needs a sugar daddy. I need things too. There's things you can do. So let me be your sugar daddy. So that was
message is not endorsed by Amplify Content Podcast.
That's funny. That's funny. Every girl needs a sugar daddy nowadays, right? Life's hard. And then I said, I wonder if they love me for my money or whether there's a new trend coming around. So I wrote a song called Dad Bod. Put your hands up if you love the dad bod. Dad bod. The dad bod. Anyway, pretty funny because the first line is like, I sleep with a breathing machine. My body's still on fire.
Sleep with a breathing machine.
Yeah. But I got the dad bod, right? And then from there, I talked about how, as a high performing entrepreneur, that it's really important that I'm always satisfying the women I'm with. And of course, you're competing with younger men with much more stamina and energy. And so I wrote this love song that breaks into a rap in the middle. And the song's called 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. And it's all about all the different toys you can use, with your partner. And I think I literally had an old woman knock all the drinks off the table during the comedy set when I broke into the rap. So it was funny, though. I had Amazon approach me after and say, if you build it to an hour, we'd be interested in buying it. And so I was working on that when the COVID hit. That's why I've actually got videos, because I wanted to do like Adam Sandler, and he creates videos behind every song.
Yes, yeah.
Does it live. So
Smart.
I've got a bunch of videos on YouTube right now that are all just the most hilarious, crazy. I'm getting interviewed by MSNBC, and then the next video that comes up is 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. And it's like, what's wrong with this guy? Well, there's probably a lot wrong.
That's a tagline for sure. I think it's awesome. You're embracing the thing that comes naturally to you. That's like, you love putting out music, you love, marketing and doing things that are different. And now you've monetized that, because a lot of times creatives, I grew up, I didn't grow up with comedians, but when I was a comedian,
You're still young.
Yeah, when I was a comedian, I knew a lot of comedians, as we all do, if we know any, who are trying to make cash. They don't make any. You don't get paid a lot as a comedian when you're up and coming. You often don't get paid a lot when you're a good comedian, and there's that whole narrative of creatives struggling, right? Like destitute and trying to make their art and all that stuff. And you're saying that you can turn that skill around and use it in marketing.
Absolutely.
It's really awesome. And I think we're just going back to one of the things you said earlier about getting that content, whether or not it's creative or super creative, which obviously if you think outside the box, it can be, but populating your social media with content of all kinds is what is just the beginning of the marketing, right? It's the thing that people look at. Like when you were saying that, I thought about the other part of my business is we book podcasts for people. We get them on, 10 podcasts a month or something. And a lot of times people want podcasts, and I'm like, great, how's your social media? Because that's where they're going to look first.
Yeah, you got to have some people who are going to follow.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
got to have fans. When I go on podcasts, it's because I'm sharing it with my audience to help them get views. It's not so they can help me. It's not an exclusive one-way street. And there are some podcasts where if you have 10,000 or more followers, they'll let you go for free. But if not, like one of my friends charges $5,000 because he's got such a big audience just to be on his podcast, and if you have a big enough audience, he'll bring you on for nothing. But I actually try to work. I try to create lists of podcasts where people will have you on for free. But the dollar amount that they're going to charge you is based on the size of your audience versus theirs. It's kind of like looking at alimony for child support, right? There's a chart, and I'm like, okay, you have 2,000 followers. They've got 10,000. They may have you on the podcast, but what they're going to need is for you to probably give them $1,000 to bring their audience into you. And is it worth it to you, right? It's life's a negotiation.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I've got a list of, I think, probably close to 3,000 or 4,000 podcasts now that are taking guests. And we're selling one that's $27 and you get like 200 of the podcasts. I'm curious what you think of the idea to make it a monthly thing, so we deliver 50 a month or something of in the same niche, and Absolutely. Just do like a membership.
There are people that like the services I looked up, they promised me 5 or more podcasts a month and they wanted $5,000. Crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, they must have been high level ones.
I could find, yeah, they were all high level, but they were like, I could still find, because of my reputation, I can, I think that's it. I think if you've sold a business and you've sold a business for more than $10 million, you're in a different category than someone who's just, who wrote a book about yoga. Not that there's anything wrong with a book about yoga, but if you've got 236 followers, there's a big difference in the work that I've done to build my audience and to sell my company for $10 million versus someone who hasn't, right? It's the same thing with coaching. So very interesting. And I'm not saying that to be, a lot of people feel entitled. Well, I wrote this book, let me in, but I've been doing my thing for 25 years.
Well, Craig, I'm going to stop this podcast, but why don't, actually, before I do that, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you and connect with you online?
I'm Craig Handley, almost everywhere, Facebook, Instagram. I took the name before anybody else did. Haha. And then I own my call center's Listen Trust, and Social Close is the other company that does the direct messaging and the repurposing and things. And I'm pretty easy to find. My cell number is actually in my book, Hired to Quit, which is on Amazon. I put my cell number right in there, so I think I leave it online if people want to text me. So I don't have any problems.
All right, mate. Well, absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for being on the show.